You've got to love it here in the city. Our heart beats stronger.
Free socks.
The NHL playoff picture is still up in the air, but here in Winnipeg, fans are confident the arena will echo with the sound of white noise again.
Free socks.
Let's go! Go, Jets, go!
Winnipeg is back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome to the landing strip, presented by From Financial on a overtime thriller. A night where the barn was rocking. I got the adrenaline going. This team officially clinches a playoff spot in thrilling fashion. Let's talk about it. Mikey, how you doing tonight?
Buzzing after that one. How can you not be? Ovi in the house, scoring in the goal, getting closer to that record. A potential preview of a Stanley Cup final, perhaps. This game had everything, man. This game had everything, and we come away with the 2 points, one step closer to a President's Cup, or President's Trophy, pardon me. Yeah, hard to come away with not a smile on your face.
But before we dive further, Kevin Kowaluk is calling for it. He didn't want an intro tonight. Just play that sweet, sweet music. Let's start this show off with a bang. Why don't we after a game like that?
Let's go.
Playoff time, baby.
Playoff sacks is coming.
There's a whiteout brewing. Mikey, that was for the big win. Let's do it one more time for the clinch. I'm feeling too good tonight. Let's make it a doubler tonight. Let's go. Nick Ehlers, man. Feels good every time.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Mikey, what was your big standout takeaway tonight to start this show off?
Man, we don't deserve Nick Ehlers. We don't deserve Nick Ehlers. That is my takeaway. He was absolutely incredible again tonight. One of the most consistent Jets, in the second half of the season. He's been pouring it on. He knows that this is his time to show up and show out with that contract coming up. He wants to win. He's hungry. Fly is killing it, man. I was in awe of getting to watch him out there tonight. So, yeah, we don't deserve Nick Ehlers. Get that man a contract. Get it done now.
Yeah, hard not to want that on a night like tonight. This has been one of, if not their best players since the Four Nations break. And I thought you saw him impacting the game on a ton of different levels tonight. He was one of those guys relentless on the forecheck. We saw the speed and the creating from him, and then we see him want the puck on his stick for that game winner. And the "Are you not entertained, Selly?" after? King shit, rockstar shit, get Nick Ehlers onto a contract ASAP. That was a great one from him, and I like that takeaway to start it. I'm going to also float somewhere else. I don't think he appeared on the score sheet tonight, but the Cole Perfetti emergence was all over this game. I thought this was a game where you saw what we kept betting on and saying it's coming, it's coming. Yeah. I thought Cole Perfetti was all over this game on that third line. I thought he really carried it. We saw that passing ability with that setup early to Nino, where no one on the ice saw Nino except Cole Perfetti, and he gets it over there quick. We saw him really engage in the board battles. On that play that Nino draws that interference, it's Cole Perfetti sticking in there, taking 3-4 cross checks in the back, and continuing to go. How many times in the neutral zone did we see him creating a turnover and taking it the other way? Cole Perfetti and his emergence, I thought, was well on display. in this game, in a game that I think had some playoff feel. So if you're still doubting Cole Perfetti, this is the game tape I'm sending. He was a standout for me in house tonight, honestly.
Yep. Shout out to BB Can, Tyler Ross. Bonus must be in shambles watching Perfetti. Because, yeah, this version of Cole Perfetti is very different than the one that, was going out there for Bones and getting, sat and dropped to the fourth line. Cole Perfetti's here, man. He's ready for it. This is also his moment, I feel like. And we've got a lot of hungry players right now who really want to show the league what's up.
What's up indeed? And is this the type of game that shows the league without Gabe Velarde, who we'll get into as this show goes on, what the Winnipeg Jets really are at their best? I thought this was a good defensive hockey game from both teams. I felt the Jets kind of allowed some zone time early, and Washington was kind of frustratingly hard on pucks even when the Jets were trying to transition, but it didn't feel like they were all that dangerous. This felt like a good defensive playoff hockey game that the Winnipeg Jets pulled through for, and were leading most of this way.
Yeah, this was they said it well on the post-game show. This wasn't beating, San Jose. This was going out with the Washington Capitals, a #1 team in the East, and staying right with them the entire way. This was a defensive battle. It was tight. It was close. You still got some ridiculous goals out of it. It had everything that you wanted, and the Jets hung in there. The Jets showed that they can, be there with the best team, one of the best teams in the league. And if they can get that kind of effort come playoff time, which is going to be hard to get, 7-game series, you need a lot of those games to all go the right way. But if this is the type of effort you're going to get in the playoffs, this is you've got a deep run coming.
And got to make a correction. You're right. Cole Perfetti did have an assist, as I see the chat yelling at me about.
Yep.
That's just how excited I was about everything but the points out of his game today, that I completely even whiffed on the idea of him having a point. It was all the little details, the physicality, the being on the right side of pucks, and creating off of those. I thought we've talked a lot. I like the idea of Nino and Fetz, and I think we saw some of that cycle work from them today. We saw some of that physicality that they both kind of played off each other. But it's safe to say this chat wants a Nik Ehlers contract ASAP. I see Danica's telling me to pay the man. And hey, if I could afford it, I'd love to do it. I don't think the bank account and Nik is going to be able to pull this one out. We're going to need David Thompson's money on this one. Yep. I see Snuggle Farts, and I just had to shout out the name, saying, give Ehlers everything. He could take my ex-wife for a spin if he wants to keep him here. It's safe to say Nik Ehlers has some fans in the chat after a night like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, how could you not? This was everything that you want out of Nik Ehlers. The speed was on display. The goal scoring was on display. It was huge. It was absolutely huge. Get that man a contract yesterday.
I like how slick McGuire sums up this game. Both teams fought for every inch of the ice, and Winnipeg fought harder. A joy to watch that kind of effort. And it did feel like one of those games for a lot of it where scoring chances weren't coming easy. And this was one I felt actually, obviously a big goaltending matchup coming into this. Connor Hellebuyck and Logan Thompson might have the two most sparkling resumes when you look at some of their win-loss records, some of their underlyings in the seasons they've had. I imagine Logan Thompson will not be snubbed from Team Canada in this next Olympics. Yeah. But this was actually a game where I was sitting there in house, and I was thinking Thompson looked a little shaky, and there was a lot of rebounds. But to kind of Slick's point here, I thought the Capitals did a very good job of boxing the Jets out from taking some of those advantages. I thought on misplays for the Jets in their zone, they did a really good job of keeping things to the outside. And this was truly a game where you saw some of that playoff chippiness, as Luke Cates just put it. There's a lot of chippiness between the teams. We saw Luke Shen try and goad Tom Wilson into a scrap. We'll get into that play in a second. Yep. We saw the Mangiapane, Colin Miller stuff. We saw guys playing with a lot of pride, fighting for every inch. And in overtime, the Winnipeg Jets tipped the scales in this one, and I think that's something to be excited about.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. It's a cheat code if the Jets get to overtime with all that open ice. Even against Washington, which is also a great offensive team, a good defensive team, which penned the Jets in to start that OT real bad. And then all of a sudden you've got the puck on Dylan Sandberg's stick, and like it's absolutely nothing, just banks it up to Nick Ehlers, and the Jets are gone and the game is over. It's looking at the chat, Harrison over on Twitch, this was probably the best defensive game as a whole they've played all year, especially considering the competition. And yeah, you got to see what the Jets look like in that playoff style, dig it out, just absolutely back and forth type of game. And they came out on top with it, after that OT period. That was great.
And I got a great way to segue out of the Nick Ehlers stuff until we get later into this show. Pierogies11 I see over on Twitch, and he says it himself, as a long-time Nick Ehlers dogger, we need him so bad. No prospect like him. And me and Pierogies had quite the back and forth at year end last year, where he might have told me to lose some weight. I might have told him there's no curing CTE, and it was all over Nick Ehlers. He is one Pierogies over, who was convinced he was just a fast guy that can't play the game at a high level. Nick Ehlers is even silencing the big doubters, and you love to see it. He's ready to commit 8x8. I also agree with his Scheifele KC take today, and that's probably the one frustration I have leaving this game is that top line wasn't very good in this one, and I thought a lot of it came in the D zone. That was one of the games where I find Mark Scheifele to be a really frustrating hockey player in general, and maybe that's why I have certain takes on him. But when he's on, he's a dominant center, and this was one of those games where it felt like he was out for a bit of a skate. And one of those games that kind of annoys me with KC, and just that he was shying away from the body so much that it would affect the rest of his game. And when he's engaged, we've talked about it this year, this has been his best all-around year as a Winnipeg Jet. This was just one of those games that frustrated me with those two. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter. They were still able to top the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, they were able to do it even with the top line really not having the impact that you would like for them to have. They got outchanced, they got outshot. It wasn't a great night for them in the D zone. It was real evident, especially on a couple different plays where Scheifele and Connor are working the puck between them in the D zone and just coughing it right back up to Washington each time. It was real frustrating from that group. But yeah, there was enough on the middle six tonight to get it done. And man, Nick Ehlers and Cole Perfetti, whether they're playing together, whether they're playing apart, they're doing everything they can to try to drag this team over the finish line.
And this was one of those games, to credit Washington in some of those minutes we're talking about against the top line. I actually did feel like that Dubois-Wilson line was really strong in this one and really controlled a lot of those shifts. So, I mean, this is a league where you're playing against some quality hockey players. And as much as it kills me to say it, I thought this was a nice night from PLD kind of carrying that line for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That as much as the fans wanted to let him know that they hated him in-house with the loud chorus of boos every time he touched the puck, which is wonderful. I miss that. We need to bring more of that back as an arena. So, but yeah, no, it was definitely an okay night from Pierre-Luc. But yeah, they were able to hold those minutes real well. The Ehlers line had the Dubois line most of the night at 5-on-5. So they came out on top.
On the crowd, this was one of the best nights at Canada Life Center I've had this season, if not the best. This rink was absolutely buzzing, and to the Jets' credit, they handed out those flashing, glowing sticks beforehand, and the image as warm-up was kind of finishing up, and they were kind of getting ready to come out and start the game, and the lights go dark, and you had a sold-out arena with those flashing glow sticks. It was one of those games, like, I know on socials, and if you live online, there was a lot of frustration with a certain new podcast platform that had a couple people come down to the Winnipeg this past weekend, and the comments weren't too great about our city. I'm here to say this is the type of game that continues to show in big games, this market is at the top tier. You know it's going to be a good night when you're getting the loud "Go Jets Go" before the anthems. Yep. One of the loudest True Norths I've heard. And that rink was just buzzing from the end of the game when they announced the clinch, standing O from everybody with the round of applause and going crazy. And then that ovation when Nick Ehlers finishes that game. Oh. Canada Life Center is a special place on nights like tonight. And I'm quite glad that I was part of this one.
Yeah, when the arena is on those big games, it's unparalleled. It is absolutely incredible, the energy that you get. The crowd is so much fun, especially when they're involved and engaged, when there's chants, when there's songs, when there's booing. It's an absolute, it's a wonder that it doesn't happen even, more often, because yeah, when it's good, man, is it just incredible.
I see Slick McGuire is slick with this comment saying best game so far. Just wait a few weeks.
That's right.
And Slick, I'm excited for game one, buddy. For you to experience the whiteout, there is nothing like playoff hockey in Winnipeg. I mean, my brother has been gaming some chill, and he was talking to someone from Pennsylvania. And after the Winnipeg faithful was credited on Pat McAfee's show, this guy has it as a bucket list item to get to a playoff game in Winnipeg. So, Slick, I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like for you being in that bar game one. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Gonna be good. Chris, we were even they talked about the Jets and the Capitals on Pardon the Interruption today on ESPN.
There we go.
Like, we've got something special cooking here, man. We've got something special cooking.
Huge ass vibe says absolutely insane visuals pregame, and I got one picture of it. I wish I took a video. I know my buddy's dad did. The visual of the dark rink with the light up sticks and that crowd rocking like tonight, just an insane start to the game. Insane.
Yep.
I'll say this, and I see over on Twitch, B Supreme 5 says, "What a game goal by Morrissey or Scorsese. Ovi scored, and an absolute snipe from Ehlers." I gotta say, I gotta pat myself on the back a little. I was a shift early, but I turned to Jordan in this one. I don't know if Jordan's in the chat, but I was saying to him, it feels like a Morrissey bomb game. And then the next shift, he opens it up with one of those bombs. Special moment there. And then how can we ignore it? How could we ignore it? 10 seconds left. I wanted to text you, Mikey, and ask if pigs were outside flying when I saw who sniped that goal. Mason Appleton with one of those late period goals in filthy fashion. And apparently he can celebrate like a goal scorer, because that celly was A+ as well. Did not have that one on my bingo card tonight. So shout out Mason Appleton for that rip.
Absolutely. Didn't know he had that in him. That was real nice to see. That was his first goal in 13 games. Second goal in his last 20. So yeah, there was a monkey on his back that he was excited to get off, and the celly was great. So yeah, good on Apples, and that's another highlight reel you can add to the tape when he hits the free agent market this summer and get paid real big.
Yeah, that was definitely. I had to take a second look and make sure I wasn't seeing some things. I was still stunned halfway through that third period. Shout out Apples big time for that. That was a big moment. Big shot, and not something I was expecting.
Kona Polly says that's Apple's once a year accidental snipe.
You know who I really liked in this game as well, and I know you talked about him as your From Financial face-off last night or last game. Thought this was another step forward in Colin Miller's emergence, getting more time and getting more consistency out there. Obviously has that big hit on Mangiapane, who gets up. And the lights went out for Andrew Mangiapane on that one. And I can't say I'm gonna shit on Mangiapane as someone that's been in that spot way too many times when I was growing up playing. I know all too well what was going through his head, and the lights were gone, and it was time to react. So good on Colin Miller to draw that extra one there. Though Tom Wilson, expert level shit disturber.
Oh my God.
Gets run over by Shen at the blue line. And the rest of that shift, I just started watching Wilson, because you knew when he got up slow, he was going to look for a run. And he was looking for one earlier, and the play didn't develop the right way. And as soon as he saw he had a chance at Appleton, takes that run. But that's also the smart side of being such a high-end shit disturber, is he knew because of that Shen hit earlier that Shen was going to respond, and he sucks him into one. So you saw kind of both sides of that one. On that side of the game, but this game did have that feel to it all across the board.
Yeah, it felt like a playoff game. You had those little battles, those, the game within the game going on, especially when you've got guys like, Tom Wilson out there who was just making a meal out of it. And yeah, on the Colin Miller stuff, and again, another strong game for him. showing off again a little bit of that, veteran savvy, getting to turn that power play into a 4-on-4 or 4-on-4. I'm really hoping that he can make a case to maybe, give him a shot on the offside on that third pairing when they've got a full healthy roster, because I don't want to lose that shot as well from that third pairing, because that thing is nice to have when you've got that group out there.
Yeah, and this was a game that, hey, against a good opponent, I got nothing bad to say about Stan. I thought he was more than fine in that pair. It's interesting. I thought this game was a game where the top pair was really strong. The third pair was really strong, and I see Max is beating me down for it. Enough of this positivity. Can we talk about how shitty Shen is? He makes Stan look like a legit bottom pairing guy. I did think there was some struggles in Shen and Sandberg's game today, especially in the neutral zone and in transition with that lack of speed. There was a play early where Washington gets a bit of a break where Shen steps up on PLD and PLD's got him by a mile. But on that play too, Sandberg kind of steps into the middle a step too soon and was a bad read there. If you're looking for a fault there, I thought that was the one pair. And I see in Ehlers We Trust it said, are we having a hard time finding faults in Winnipeg in this game? For me, there would be two that stood out for me. The top line was a problem.
Yep.
But it didn't matter in this one. And I thought the second pair and Shen's feet work were kind of exposed a little in a game like this against Washington.
Yeah, the foot speed was real evident with Shen today. And even the last game as well, it's starting to kind of poke through a little bit there, because you would want somebody who can take care of more of that side of it playing with him normally, right? So, yeah, they weren't great today. They got hemmed in terms of shots and in terms of chances, in terms of high danger. Like, it wasn't a great night for those guys overall. But they got a lot of the hard minutes, right? Stanley was, I think somebody put it, unremarkable in the chat, Kevin Kowalik, which is good, right? There was no big gaffes, no anything. They kept his minutes down. He had 100% of offensive zone starts at 5-on-5, nothing in the D zone, right? They knew where to utilize him tonight. So, yeah, that's the kind of night you want from Logan Stanley, from your bottom pairing. And if Colin Miller keeps this up, man, I think he's, giving himself at least an opportunity to maybe carve out a spot.
Yeah, no, and I think he's earned it with this stretch of games. He was a standout for me in this one in multiple different facets. The point shots were getting through. There was a couple there, and we were talking about some of those early rebounds. A couple came off the stick of Miller. Liked him on the PP2 too, as far as dragging across the blue line and letting things open up for that unit. Colin Miller, guy that we've been a fan of, but continues to impress in this late emergence here.
I just hope Scott O'Neill doesn't give him the same treatment that he got at the end of last season, where all of a sudden he's riding the pine in the playoffs and we just never see him again.
Ethan KPM wants to hear about Iafallo. How did he do? You came in a hater, Nick. So how did you feel about Alex Iafallo tonight?
He can fit the role of what they want Gabe Vilardi to do, on that line. That whole line was just not great tonight, though. So it's hard to really get a sense of how IFL is going to fit in that space while we wait to see if Gabe Vilardi can come back at some point. He's got a similar skill set. He's got the hands. So, can he play in that spot? Probably. Is it what I would want them to be doing? No. There's other configurations you probably could do, maybe have a little bit of a different look with, but we know that's not how they operate. They've got their spots, they've got their roles. It's plug and play when there's an injury. So I'm gonna need a couple more games to see how IFL is gonna work out there. I'm still kind of curious about the middle six lines more than the top line, to be totally honest with you, on why we're going with these configurations and this distribution of ice time. I'm still a little confused by it, but
yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that after the From Financial face-off as we get into the Vilardi injury and some of that. My opinion on Iafallo, I thought he was more than fine in this game, as Max kind of put it. He does what you expect. Alex Iafallo is one of those guys in the NHL. You know what you're going to get from him. I thought he was strong along the walls. I thought he was back to his usual self, as far as he's that guy that his stick's so good at knocking pucks down and kind of turning it the other way. I actually felt he was the highlight of a tough night for the top line for me.
Yep.
So I had no issues with Alex Iafallo there. We'll kind of talk about some of those configurations and what we're seeing and what we might want to see instead later in this game. But I don't think Alex Iafallo was the problem on the first line tonight. I thought he gave me what I expect from him, and that's just a guy that's going to make quality decisions and make the right reads with pucks and keep things going the right way. And I thought he looked like Alex Iafallo to me.
I've decided to crown him the 2025 Mathieu Perreault award winner for being the Jets' most versatile guy. You can drop him to play with Scheifele and Connor. You can have him play with Lowry and and Appleton. You can have him play on the fourth line with Barron and Kapari, and it doesn't matter. He fits on all those spots. So congratulations, Alex Iafallo. You are the 2025 Mathieu Perreault award winner.
And I see Kim Sawchek says, love that AI guy. He's a keeper. And Ethan talked about saved them twice. And hey, I was talking about it when we were seeing the Vlad stuff. AI is a guy that I would definitely be willing to sign on a shorter term deal, a little bit less than the $4 million he's at. Yep. He's a quality pro, man. He's a quality pro that you could trust in his minutes.
Yep.
Just might not be a top line guy, and we'll kind of get into that. But I have no issues with AI at all.
100% agree.
We're going to get into the From Financial Face-Off in a second here, so we want to hear from you. But I got to go to our boy Donnie. Donnie Fester's joined the chat. Donnie Fester here. Thought the boys weathered the storm pretty well tonight and took advantage of our chances. Like that take. Shen would have been doing 25 to life if Wilson would have fought him. Love the show. So we know Donnie was fired up at the idea that Shen might take the wheels to Tom Wilson tonight. Like that from Donnie.
Yep.
But, hey, let's move into the From Financial Face-Off. We'll open up these phone lines if you want to call in, talk some puck. In the chat, we want to hear from you. What was your difference-making detail? What was potentially missing? What kind of tipped the scales for the Jets? We want to hear your From Financial Face-Off, and we'll dive into the chat here. Let's get into it, Mike.
Right on.
Hey, before I get there, I think Caitlin summed up the AI conversation excellent on YouTube. Iafallo is a guy you could slot in anywhere, and you could trust him to not be a net negative. We have options that elevate that first line to another level, though, in my opinion. Caitlin, excellent. I love how that was worded. Absolutely.
Yep, 100% agree.
All right, Mikey, let's get into it.
All right. So for my From Financial face-off today, the thing that kind of stood out to me was rebounds, both offensive and the defensive side of it. The Jets tonight had so many opportunities with rebound pucks in the in Logan Thompson's area tonight, where if they had just been able to get to those open spots, they've got way more of a high danger chance that can result in a goal. And I just feel like we lost so many opportunities, left them out there because we just couldn't control the offensive rebounds when we were getting them. And on the flip side as well, I feel like we didn't do a great job dealing with the defensive rebounds. There was quite a few of them that were left just kind of hanging out there that Hellebuck was putting into the spots that you'd expect the team to get to. But so yeah, that's my face off tonight. Is they need to clean up that rebound work, both for the offensive side to get some more goals, and you don't want to be giving teams like Washington that many chances.
Yeah. So on my From Financial face-off, on one hand, I want to go to Nik Ehlers being the game breaker and the forechecking and all of that, but I spilt enough love onto that early in the show. Another place I can go is Cole Perfetti continuing to take that step and what he could kind of control within a game. I thought he was excellent in this one. But I'm going to be honest, if there's one detail that tips this game over for me, the From Financial face-off for me is Mason Appleton becoming a sniper out of nowhere. 10 seconds left in the second period. One of those momentum goals. And I honestly think, obviously, Ovi takes advantage of that breakdown off the half wall and ties this game. But I actually thought the Jets came out in the third after that goal and really tightened the ship defensively. I thought it was a real good third period. Obviously, that goal's a backbreaker from the best guy to ever score goals in the NHL. But I did think the Jets responded to that late goal really well and played a defensively sound game. I didn't love Mason Appleton's game entirely in this one, but just for doing something I didn't imagine he had in him with that top corner going against the grain of the goaltender late in the period. Mason Appleton's goal and him being the one to do it is the From Financial face-off from me today.
Hard to shit on a guy with a goal like that tonight. So yeah, totally, that's great. You
We'll
ready
pass
for the
on
first
some of the
call?
other stuff. Yeah, let's get into the calls. Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, caller, thanks for holding. You're on the landing strip now. What's your From Financial Face-Off?
Oh, God, it's too much to say, but my From Financial face-off honestly was Colin Miller tonight. I thought he was absolutely spectacular on and off the puck, and he's done a great job making Stanley look serviceable out there. And, my favorite play from him, honestly, was I think he shot way wide on purpose, and it bounced off Sanchion and right into the inner slot, and I thought that was just an amazing play.
Absolutely.
That was down on my end today. What was your name, caller? I didn't catch that. Sorry.
My name is Luke.
Is this my guy Luke from
Luke.
Atlanta?
Yes, Luke's from Atlanta here.
Let's
Right on.
go. Kept following the Jets from after the Thrashers left. This guy's the man. I get to talk with Luke on Twitter a lot. Outside the From Financial Face-Off, what'd you like today, Luke?
God, so I was a bit of I guess background here. I was in the library studying for an exam tomorrow, and
Okay.
the second I saw Big Apple hit that tonight, I jump up in the library, and then I remember I'm in a library. I'm like, oh my fucking God, oh shit.
Been there.
Mason
I'm like,
Appleton
oh,
has
I'm
that
in a
effect.
library.
Mason Appleton has us jumping out of our seats in that library. He's got to be the From Financial Face-Off after that story. Luke's making me feel even better about my pick tonight.
That's a good one.
It was just what, him out of everyone, him. I did not see that coming. But honestly, I thought Hellebuck, I was a bit worried in the first period after that goal, but he really stood up and really came big. And you know what? Hardebuck, we say Vesna Buck all the time, but I think Hardebuck has a better ring to it, honestly.
That's right. Let's go.
Hey, Luke, I appreciate this call. Good luck on your exam tomorrow. And as Luke said, let's go out with that. Connor Hardebuck, he is the betting favorite right now. He bounces back after 2 rough starts. I thought he looked dialed from this one early on, which is what you wanted to see after that extra game rest in Buffalo. And let's see a goalie win it since Carey Price. Connor Hardebuck is him. Let's run with it. Let's run with it.
Right on.
Love that. Love that. I was hoping to hear from Luke. He shot me a DM asking if we are going to have the phone lines open. It's been a treat to get to hear his backstory a little bit. And this is what I love about this show, man. The landing strip's global. We get to hear stories from all over the place.
And
Love it.
I broke out the Thrashers t-shirt not that long ago, so I've got it ready to go. Never left. I love that one. It's a great one.
My favorite AAA jersey was the Thrashers mock-up, and I played on the Thrashers the year after the team moved to Winnipeg, so we got all the pants and everything. Sick setup.
So good.
Let's dive into some of our chats from Financial Face-Off, who I'm gonna have to give an honorary from Financial Face-Off tonight to Caitlin in the chat, who the YouTube chat is buzzing about that comment I highlighted earlier. Max of Silent says, well said, Caitlin. Elias McCracken says, hey fellas, just seeing Caitlin's comment and was thinking the same thing. Ehlers also brings those intangibles. Want to sign them? Danica says, Caitlin, marry me. So Caitlin's been the From Financial difference maker in the chat today. And that's why we love our audience, going the extra mile. Tico Napoli first on YouTube had the From Financial Face-Off as the Jets' response from a loss to the Sabres in a battle for first. And I think that's a great takeaway tonight. We saw them come in, buckle things down defensively, and win against the number 1 team coming into tonight in the NHL standings. Like that one from T. Kona. Scott Westman says they came out prepared to play right at puck drop. No sleepy first 5 minutes of the game as his face-off difference. And we know slow starts have creeped into this team at times.
Yep.
This game felt ramped up right from the beginning. Like that from Scott. Kevin Kowalik says, 91 all over the ice, super noticeable with the little details. And hey, I could talk about the little details in Cole Perfetti's game all night, but I don't know if that's the podcast that people want to listen to.
We've done it all year.
Where he's going, it's a real player, man. The Jets have a real good one there. We've been saying it.
Yep.
We can revisit those bridge versus long-term deal combos. Chase says the FFF is the Jets played a way more defensive game than I expected given the Capitals' physical game. I hope they can bring this and their best offensive game to the playoffs. And both in this individual game and big picture, I like where Chase is going here. This was a real defensive battle against a quality opponent that brings that size element to the game and isn't scared to use it. And the Jets handled it well, keeping things to the outside even during breakdowns. I like where Chase is going there. Yeah. Amber says, played hard the whole game, covered any open players, and didn't give up. Seemed like they realized what they have to lose. And this was a game where there wasn't massive breakdowns or massive moments where it felt like the Capitals had taken over the game. I thought the Jets adjusted well and played a quality hockey game, especially on the defensive side of the thing. They played hard the whole game. I like that from Amber. I just saw when I scroll too far here.
Just while you're looking there, one of the things that that Luke said that I don't know if we've really touched on too much. These last few games have been maybe some of Stanley's best looking games. How much credit are we willing to give to Colin Miller being the partner that maybe is working the best with them? Maybe he's got the communication down. Maybe their styles match better. I don't know. How do you feel about Colin Miller being the one to unlock Logan Stanley?
I'm going to say this. I'm not sure I would necessarily go to that level because we've seen that pair so long struggle. I actually think Stan's just played a real simple game and it hasn't cost him. So I want to see it more of this where we're not seeing the big errors and we're not seeing him try and do too much. I think we got to give Stan some credit on how he's looked and handled these last two games, especially tonight.
There you go, everybody. Mark that down. We're giving Stanley the credit. He's playing well.
Matty Wins out on the East Coast is joining us for a late night game. His From Financial Faceoff says, Helly back to doing Helly things. Finished the game tonight with a .931 save percentage after a bumpy stretch on the road last week. And I think what we saw from Connor Hellebuck is going to calm a lot of Jets fandom's waters after that, because this was the guy we come to expect. And I thought he was really in control of this one on his way to a third Vezina. By the way, no goalie that's won 3 Vezinas has missed the Hall of Fame. Connor Hellebuck at year's end will be a future Hall of Famer, just waiting to retire.
Yep.
And potentially the Hart winner, which would be massive. We don't see goalies do that, and he's putting up the type of season that can, which plays into Danica Smith's From Financial Faceoff of Hellebuck is 7 wins away from tying the record. Ehlers' line is our real first line. Jets play better when we have a big injury. Is there something to that? The Jets responding to adversity with a big injury.
We've seen it time and time again. The injuries force some lineup changes that maybe the Jets aren't normally going to go to. When you get those type of different looks, those different combinations, they strike gold sometimes. And we, Ehlers and Lowry together seems to be one of those combinations that just really works. Just unlocks both guys. So yeah, that's just, we've seen it in the past quite often. The Jets are always one injury away from having a really great lineup is, kind of the joke. But man, Hellebuck getting those 7 wins is going to be tough in the amount of starts that they have left. There's definitely a few games that he's going to want back in the middle of the season, I think, to get to that spot. But you never know. It's still technically possible, but I think it's going to be a long shot to get to that tying record.
Mikey, I got to give you an honorary From Financial Faceoff. Choices TK points out new graphics, the production level of this show. Crushing it, buddy. You're crushing it. I'm not taking any credit over there. Donnie Fester on the bad says, poor puck handling cost us possession. The good. Caps had absolutely nothing offensively because of good defense. I think those are fair takes on this one.
Absolutely.
B-Sarge8 over on Twitch says, in his opinion, 1, Miller solidified his spot in the top 6 from here on out. And 2, it's going to hurt watching Ehlers walk come June. Oh, fair takes.
That'll hurt. Yep. You ready for a call?
Let's go to it.
Hey, caller. Thanks for holding. What's your name and what's your From Financial Faceoff?
Hey, man, I got you. It's Ethan again. It's From Financial. I'm bringing up the same point. Thompson versus Hellebuck. Let's talk about it.
Yep. Let's talk about Thompson versus Hellebuck. What'd you see tonight, Ethan?
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it because I have to bring it up.
I liked Hellebuck more in this one, but we're seeing two guys that are putting up exceptional seasons and bigger reasons. They are both atop the respective conferences. The one thing I did see from Thompson today, I felt the side to side was a bit of battle for him as far as controlling the pucks in front, but Washington was so strong defensively it didn't come back to bite him, and that guy is pretty damn good at stopping everything he sees. And then Hellebuck, I thought, was really dialed into this one early and carried that through the rest of the game.
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, there were some rebounds that I feel like the Jets could have capitalized on if they had been in position to. But like you said, Washington is so fucking good defensively; they were able to clean most of that up. So that would be my only knock on Thompson tonight was that rebound control. But Washington was more than able to make up for it.
That's the goalie matchup I want to see the next time the States and the Canada play off in the Olympics. If I'm being honest,
should have been this time, but hey, it's all right. Canada still got the win. Let's talk about how do you feel about Blake Grist's comment over on YouTube? Perfetti looked really good, especially when he's mixing it up behind the net. Can he be tried at 2C again next year? So I'm not talking about this season, but with the new Prickfetti mentality, with his kind of this mentality of a little bit more of an aggressive style, a little bit more focusing on his own game. Do you think that there's a chance we may get to see Perfetti getting a shot at 2C again next year?
It's something I'd like to see, and it's something I've been talking to some people about, wondering about for next year in camp.
Yep. Yes,
I've always believed that his game profile is better as a center than a winger, and now that you're seeing him take these strides at this level, I'd be open to seeing that. I think he could be the answer there.
Yep, I totally agree.
Ethan points out in the chat, games played versus wins, Logan wins. And that's true too. Like Logan Thompson's record in his games played this year is pretty remarkable when you see, is he even at 10 losses yet? I know he's played quite a bit less than Hellebuck, but the last time I saw it was something like 35-4, 34-4, something like that. Definitely been a special year for Logan Thompson.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just pull him up real quick for the season numbers on him.
And quickly going to point this out. We got a resident goalie in the chat. JPix29 says, LT was sliding left before Ehlers even shot it. If he didn't move, he would have stopped it. Puck hit him right in the middle part of the net. Big time fighting the pucks tonight. And I did think today was the type of game where he didn't really have his crease as much as you normally see. And that's where some of these rebounds come that you were talking about, Mikey.
31 wins, 4 losses, 5 OT.
There you go. Big games played, yeah. But
less than 10
quite the
combined.
Record.
Unreal.
Not bad, man. Not bad. Unreal. Probably a second or third place finish in the Vezina. He's going to be a finalist.
Oh, yeah, 100% he's going to be a finalist.
Let's go, Phyllis. Phyllis tuning in from the gym tonight, getting that late night workout.
Right on.
I might have to go do the same now. I still got to eat dinner, but hey, I might have to do the same.
Right, no doubt. Hell yeah, Phyllis.
Elias McCracken says, I have been a strong vocal opponent of Stan being in the lineup, but he has improved, and in tonight's game, he actually looked like an NHL D-man. Could it be the Shen effect? Maybe words of wisdom? I'm not sure if I'd go there quite yet, especially with the fact they haven't played that much together. I think it's one of those things. We saw Fleury come in, have 2 solid games, and then kind of go back to the Fleury we expect. I don't want to make too many quick judgments when we've seen such 190 games plus of meh. Is kind of where I'm at. But also, you guys are listening to the most meh commentator in the Winnipeg Jets, Spear. So maybe I'm just being a little harsh when I'm meh too.
And like I don't want to shit too hard on Logan Stanley because, like we said, no big gaffes. There's nothing that stood out that was overly negative. But context matters, right? Again, 5-on-5, he had 0 defensive zone starts. He was starting the entire game every time in the offensive zone. They were making sure to keep him away from the net. They picked his opponents real smart tonight. They played the matchups well, and he only played 11 minutes at 5-on-5. So before we crown him an everyday NHL player, we'll just take a quick step backwards. And even at that reduced amount of minutes, he still got outshot and outchanced. So we'll back up a little bit from he's a real NHL guy yet. Just 2 good games. That was awesome, and I hope he keeps having them.
In Ehlers we trust. Come back and ask that question in the offseason. The vibes are too good to be talking about that kind of thing tonight. Not the time or the place, and I do have an answer that I know won't be popular there.
Oh, don't do that. Yeah, break my heart.
Yeah, no, the game's going too well here.
Gonna make me cry.
Lucas Trapp, why didn't Nick get the famous hot dog from the arena for dinner? And Nick's trying really hard to keep the diet and gym grind intact, and it was a bit of a mental battle at the arena tonight, but we got through. We won the mental battle. I'm working on myself here. I couldn't do the big Jets dog.
You can't see it under the pink right now, but our boy is swole, so he's killing it. So that's why he didn't get it tonight.
Yeah, not swole yet. We're working on it. We'll be going to Whiteout Party shirtless. Maybe we'll see.
There we go.
I don't have to wear a color. I'm so fucking pale. So
we'll paint the top line logo on your chest.
Yeah, it might even work out better for me to go to the Whiteout natural. Here's a great stat. 30 from Choices TK. 37 has more wins than 20 NHL teams. Again, Connor Hardebuck. That's nuts.
It's just unreal.
Donnie Fester, actually, I like this one because this was an interesting play. Has that bank pass from Sandberg been mentioned yet? Love the show. And we saw the Jets kind of utilizing the boards on a couple different plays to free up ice.
Yep.
But seeing that, I know exactly which play you're talking about. Sandberg banking to create that opportunity. It was just one of those games where it felt like the little details and were going so well for this team.
Yeah. We only quickly mentioned it when we were talking about the goal in overtime. But yeah, just absolute vision from Sandberg to know the building, to know the boards, to know Ehlers, to get the timing right, to get the positioning right. Our dude is doing fucking geometry in his head right there. You know, that's like a bank pool shot, and he's just hits a speeding Nick Ehlers. It was absolutely incredible. And that's the little things from Sandberg that have been unlocked these last few weeks.
One thing I do want to throw out there, speaking of plays, and I don't know why that comment made me remember it. I thought this was another strong night for what you expect from the fourth line to do. Quite a bit of speed on it, with Kupari filling in for the I follow spot. One thing that stood out to me, and clearly Morgan Barron's feeling himself, he's got the confidence going because you don't see a fourth liner do this often. But there was one play in the third period, I believe it was, where Kupari was taking it through the center of the ice, and Barron wanted it at the blue line and was calling for it. And once Kupari didn't get it, I have never seen a fourth liner slam their stick in frustration. You expect that from the big dogs? Did not expect that from Morgan Barron.
And man, he's on a different level lately. It's he's noticeable in a positive way, and it's really interesting to see that once he got that taste at center, he's really kind of he cemented himself on that fourth line as a legit NHL player. And when that fourth line is working, I still think they're the best fourth line in the league.
I gotta say, Mikey, we might have to pull some magic for Ethan here. I forgot to give you a shout. I was so into the game. He wants the OV pick in Winnipeg to show off on the cast if we could get that up. Funny little side story. I did hear at work today from a buddy who had a friend at the Tav last night downtown, and Ovi was there sitting by himself drinking some beers from the sounds of it. And I gotta say, he looked like a guy that was pounding beers last night. Does NHL Edge track individual players' skate movements on the ice? Good God, was Ovechkin ever a beer league defensive player tonight? I got a kick out of watching him still play in the NHL, doing what he was doing. You could probably find a straight line on that ice that was Ovi's slow movements for most of this one, unless he was motivated for an offensive look.
Yep, and then he still scores a goal with seconds remaining because that's just what he does.
So we'll work on getting the OV pick potentially to show off. It's pretty cool to see him just strutting around Winnipeg. Max is silent to answer you. That was on that near 3-on-2, yeah, and Kupari just skated left and dumped it. That's exactly the play where Barron was really feeling it, and watching him, it just made me laugh. In Ehlers We Trust says, with Barron a center in the minors, and he was a center before coming to Winnipeg.
Yes.
And he's a player I think I got a bit wrong, where I didn't feel like the wing really highlighted his strengths. Like, clearly always been a hard worker. He's got the size, got the speed. I think you're seeing a more engaged in all facets version of Morgan Barron with the move to the center. I think it's been positive for at least how I view the player.
Yeah, 100%. He's exceeded the expectations that I had coming in. I thought he was just going to be another just replaceable guy on that fourth line that they kind of cycle in depending on, injuries and things. And since he's gotten the opportunity, especially the move to center, he's done everything to say, no, this is, I am an everyday guy here and I'm going to produce in a positive way for the team.
Julian says we need Ovi to publicly talk about how good the bar scene is in Winnipeg if he can go out alone and get a drink. Bring that tourism money here, Ovi. Come on. Jeff Kabeel says, it's okay, Nick. I'm cashing in on a two-can-dine McD meal deals and eating the second meal on your behalf. And
that sounds so good.
Yeah, I thank you, Jeff, for that. And Scott Westman nails it, saying, you're the hero we always knew we needed. Love to hear it, Kabeels. I hope you're enjoying that. I got to avoid that shit for a couple months.
I'm jealous. Not going to lie, I'm jealous.
HH Living Loco, the funniest thing was Appleton bailing on the fight with Wilson after he realized Tom was the one who shoved him. Great business decision.
That was
great
hilarious.
business decision.
He's like, yeah. Oh, I mean, never mind.
We're good.
Yeah, we've all been in that situation of like, you oh, hey, hi, how's it going? What's up?
Harsh Ivana says Ovi was not shanked. Weird. Only we're allowed to make fun of Winnipeg and Winnipeg. We don't want to hear it from the outsiders. We got to embrace it here.
That's right.
I gotta say this was a fun one, man.
This was exactly what you wanted to see, and the Jets have at least this season a trend of getting up for these big games. Anytime they've been in these type of big situations where all the eyes are on them and there's something at stake, man, they show up and they're able to match, arguably the best team.
Let's go to the phone lines, and I want to dive into that. Remind me of that.
Hey, caller, you're on the landing strip. What's your name and what would you like to talk about?
I just want to talk about Ehlers, and if it's too late for that, don't worry about it. Don't put it on. But I just want to ask, what are we willing to lose to keep him? Because I live in Montreal, and I don't want to lose him at all. But if we do, I hope he goes to the Habs.
Hey.
But, let's throw the bag at him. He is the most. He has the most zone entries, zone exits in all the NHL. He is the most dynamic player in the NHL, period. If we lose him, I am devastated. But if we lose him to the Habs, I will be hammering for him to go to the Habs.
Ethan, you're preaching to the right choir when it comes to Nick Ehlers. I've been trying to tell people I genuinely believe he's the most impactful winger in Winnipeg. He is
Dude,
just,
I think 8 by 9, 9 by 8. I don't care what it takes, anything. If he's gone, I hope to God he comes to me in Montreal. So I can watch these dynamic players.
I respect the selfishness.
Getting players to the Habs. There's obviously a connection between the GMs. They love it. I know he's coming here if he doesn't stay.
It'd be perfect.
Yeah, as Mikey's also a Habs guy, so I think he'd enjoy that. He is definitely one of the most dynamic, fun players to watch in the NHL, and the Winnipeg Jets have to do what they can to keep him around. They have the cap space. I know they got some situations, but you just can't replace what he does, and I do think a large part of this market doesn't realize how much losing him would hurt.
Yeah. I don't know. Does he have a wife? Does she like it? Does she like Winnipeg?
I think she does.
I don't know those details. But Ethan, as a fellow Nick Ehlers enjoyer, appreciate the call. We're going to keep working our way through here, and we're going to wrap her up shortly. Appreciate you calling in. And, hey, I hope for you, if he does walk, maybe you'll get to selfishly enjoy what we get to see in Winnipeg quite often.
Awesome. Thanks.
I see Formerly jumps in the chat. Love you guys. I'm popping in to say that. Please take care. All my friends in the chat as well. And he just liked the smash the like button, and you should all do so too. And hey, who am I to deny what Formerly has to say here? Jack OC says, man, Perfetti looked good tonight, which I cannot agree with more. This was the type of night I could talk about Cole Perfetti all night. Yep. Give that kid a center. And Jack OC is on the landing strip side of things with I'd lose Kyle Connor for Nick Ehlers in a second. Jack, you're preaching to the choir here.
Ooh. Spicy.
The thing is, I don't think you need to lose both, but
no, you can keep both.
Huge ass vibes wants to go at Tom Wilson, saying Wilson backing out of a scrap with Shen. Come on, weak shit. Today I learned Tom Wilson's a fucking bitch. Winnipeg is feeling it tonight.
Oh man, I can't wait for this matchup to come in the playoffs.
Mikey, what was your point before the call? And then we'll go into the 3 stars and kind of take off tonight. But I wanted to touch on what you had to say there, and my mind just goes a million miles a minute here.
All good. Just that the Jets they've made a habit of showing up for these big games. For that, when there's something on the line, when the opponent is something like this, and all eyes are on them, they've made a habit of at least showing up for these games and being able to hang in there.
And I do think there's a feather in the Winnipeg Jets cap in that regard this year. It does seem like every time there is going to be that, they were probably the big game of the night. They were playing a big time opponent. They have really shown up for those games, and I think that is a positive for this team, especially heading into the playoffs, that maybe we didn't see as much in years past. I like where you went there. Phyllis says, hello, this is what I've been saying, but I can't see Nikki leaving. Max of Silence says a large part of this market doesn't understand time on ice. Julian points out he can't be lowballed with the cap going up. And in the Ehlers we trust really nails this too. This was the most important game of the regular season for Winnipeg, and Ehlers is the top talent that got it done. Hard to disagree with him there.
Yep.
And then we'll take this last question, then we'll go to 3 stars and work our way out of here. In Ehlers we trust says, did Chevy mess up by not offering Fetz a longer-term contract? What do you think, Mikey?
I was pro long-term before the last signing, so yeah. I think they're going to be paying more for it now going forward, but that's always the risk, right? Whether the player's taking the bet on themselves or whether the team is betting that the player won't be as good as what they're thinking. I think it was a foolish bet to take because all the pieces were there for Perfetti. It was just a matter of him being able to put it together.
This was a guy that wanted a long-term contract and didn't get offered one. I made it no secret, if you follow me on Twitter, which I understand if you don't, sometimes I'm a lot to handle, that a long-term contract was the play. I argued it on this show that this was the time. You're going to buy him at his lowest and you're going to get long-term value out of it. 100% they messed up, and they messed up day one that contract was signed. I don't care what anybody says about last year. I don't care about, oh, you're only saying this now. This was always coming for Cole Perfetti, and it was a day one mistake, much like if they were to sign Neil Pionk, will be Kevin Cheveldayoff's biggest day one mistake he's made in his tenure. But let's move into one last point from Donnie Fester that is interesting and important here, because this was another 3-on-3 win, and the Winnipeg Jets have been really good in 3-on-3 this year. Donnie does say, need to close in regulation eventually, right? Love the show. And I will point out, playoff overtime is not 3-on-3, and 5-on-5 is where it's going to be done. I think that's a fair takeaway from Donnie there.
Yep. That cheat code that we have with all that extra open ice goes away once the playoff starts and we go to just continuous OT. So yeah, it's a good thing to look at. Although I will say they haven't gone to overtime in the shootout all that more often than the rest of the NHL. It's been pretty in line with the other teams, kind of around their spots. So they can get it done in regulation. They can get it done at those spots, but they're going to need to get more consistent play from the first line, I think, is the real big thing come the playoffs. That's going to be the difference maker on whether or not this is a long playoff run that we're getting to celebrate into the summer, or whether this was a short-lived, flash in the pan. I think it's the top line needing the consistency.
Hey, Mikey, we still got to talk about Velarde and the line combo, so we're going to go a little late today because you just brought me there and we almost forgot about it in the excitement of the show. I do want to answer quickly, Gilbert, Julian saying, wouldn't it be shocked if Fetz is offer sheet this summer? Fetz is still signed for one more year. That won't be in effect for the Jets this summer. They have him at a real good number for next year, and that's where the other aspect of this is. They got Sandberg on a really good contract this year. They got Perfetti on a real good contract. And that's where my frustrations with leaving $6 million on the table is that you're getting such impact on guys that you bridged that you might have gotten more value longer term if you went long term. But we'll leave that there. Let's talk about Gabe Velarde real quick. What we saw from the coach's first shakeup of the lines and potentially where you want to go from there. Gabe Velarde, it sounds like, is week to week. With some optimism, he'll be back in the playoffs. We'll see where that goes. I don't know what to expect there. Obviously, some conflicting reports, and apparently I was making shit up on Twitter, despite linking a clip for anybody to possibly
From
watch.
John
Last night was
Lou?
people went a little crazy on me last night on the old Reddit and Discords and
God.
stuff. It's like I linked the post for a reason. Yeah. I'm not someone that's gonna make up bullshit on social media to get a rise out of people. I try and find stuff that is out there in the media sphere around the Jets that isn't being talked about to share to a bigger audience. It's all that happened there. TSN took the video down towards the end of the night. Leave it there. But they've lost Gabe Vilardi here, and our first look is 81-55 Iafallo. It's Appleton, Lowry, Ehlers, and it is Perfetti, Vlad, and who am I
Nino.
missing here? Nino. What did you think of the coach's first look here? What is something you might want to adjust? Let's hear your thoughts on what it's going to be like for the Jets without Gabe Vilardi and what it can mean here.
Okay, so I said I wasn't going to slander Mason Appleton on the show today. I'm going to go back on that a little bit just because we're having this conversation. There's no world where Mason Appleton should be playing second line minutes for this team going forward. What are we doing? Come on. Sniper. Yeah, that's, if he's going to do that every game, great. I'll look like an asshole. But until that happens once more than every 12 to 14 games, there's no world where Mason Appleton should be playing second line minutes with Adam Lowry and Nick Ehlers. It makes no sense. I know Nino's been snake bit lately, but he's still a better player than what Mason Appleton provides at that spot. And why it's not Cole Perfetti on that wing when you've had Ehlers and Perfetti playing together the entire time also just absolutely vexes me. You can have a regular shutdown line of Vlad, Nino, and Mason, and have Perfetti up with Ehlers and Lowry, and you've actually got a fairly decent look at a second line that we wanted to see for most of the year. I don't get it. I don't get dropping Perfetti down to play third line minutes. I don't get Mason Appleton playing second line. I am happy that we went back to Lowry and Ehlers. I really like them as a combo. We've been pro that, so kudos to Arniel for bringing those guys back together again because they had results. And they liked playing together, which is, a net positive. I don't get the Mason Appleton move when you've got, like I said, Nino fits better in that spot. Perfetti fits better in that spot. You've got better options. I don't get it.
Okay, so Tico Napoli has me laughing here. It's okay to slander apples now. The show's into OT.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Max is silent, probably with the biggest takeaway on Vilardi, that the PK will likely struggle a bit more. Obviously, he's been a big piece, if not the biggest piece, to that power play success with his net front work, with his ability to create out of the corner.
Yep.
Obviously, you're going to see a bit of a downtick there. You see Iafallo jump into that bumper spot. You see Ehlers was playing a bit more on the flank, which I don't mind to see, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Though I do think the power play is going to have to avoid getting over-reliant on the Kyle Connor Morrissey thing, because that is the one tough spot is Kyle Connor with the puck on his stick on the PP. Is probably the last guy I trust in that situation. If you're finding him open to shoot, hey. But when it comes to controlling pucks, he's the guy that teams are going to really try and pressure, right? When they could see a bobble, that's the guy to jump on. So the PP is going to see some struggles. Arniel went where I expected him to go. He's kind of from the school of bonus when it comes to that, where this was one of their favorite looks last year. And it's important to remember that the Winnipeg Jets, whether we like it or not, operate under the two golden rules when it comes to forward lineup construction. 81-55, Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor must play together at all times.
Yep.
And Adam Lowry and Mason Appleton must play together at all times.
Why?
So all I'm going to say to this conversation, it works on this night. They're going to have 10 games more of different looks. All I want to see at some point is them to break away from one of the two golden rules at minimum. So let's keep it basic. I'll throw a combination I wouldn't mind seeing here.
Is Mason Appleton Lowry's emotional support winger? Like, what? I don't fucking, why? It's not like he has some cash that he can be like, I'm the fucking goal scorer, so you have to play me here, or I'm the best. What leverage does Mason Appleton have that he gets to play on that line? What is it? Unless it's Lowry being like, this is my emotional support winger. I don't know what else it could be.
It's the Winnipeg Jets hockey brand, brother. And there's certain rules that we got to abide by when talking about them. So all I'm hoping to see here, and this is what I'll say, they're not going to split up Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele.
No.
What I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of a stretch here of is those two with Cole Perfetti.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And then getting another look at that Alex Iafallo, Adam Lowry, Nick Ehlers line. That's what I'd like to see a peek of from here at this point. I won't beat it up too much.
That would be
from
so
there,
much better.
But that's something I'd like to see a peek at, and we'll kind of leave it at that for this night. Curtis Weeb, before we get out of here and get into the 3 stars, Curtis Weeb did come into the show last night or last game and said, "Told you last show Mini might drop all the way down to 8 seed." After St. Louis throttled the Habs tonight, they are 2 points back with one more game played. They're 13-2-2 or 14-2-2 in their last 18 games. It's starting to look like we might get what might be my fantasy booking playoffs now that I'm seeing it's possible. Colorado, Dallas, let those two teams beat each other up. We might see St. Louis come in hot against Vegas, which would be a fascinating first round with how St. Louis is playing right now. And give me Minnesota all day in round 1. Let's see this age out well. I'm cheering for Curtis Weeb's take, and he nails it here. The Blues are white hot, and the Wild are diving. I've never wanted Curtis Weeb to be so right as right now because I love how the rest of the West and the Jets matchups would shake up in that scenario.
Curtis, I'll say it. I thought you were crazy when you suggested it. I didn't think there was a chance Minnie was going to drop that hard, but man, watching the way that it's going right now, they've lost 2 straight. They're sitting at a -8 goal differential overall. That is absolutely atrocious. So, you know what? Yeah. And my Habs helping out, letting St. Louis pick up some points, where they were just out for a skate tonight. It's, you know what? I didn't think it was possible, but we've hit that spot where it's, yeah, I think we could get there if we've got the hockey gods on our side.
And I'll say this, St. Louis is definitely redoing the whole 18-19 run. At Christmas, they were dead last in goals at Christmas. Coming into tonight, they were 13th and then put up a 6th spot.
Yep. Unreal.
Jim Montgomery, man. Respect the man. Respect the man. But let's get into the 3 stars and let's get out of here on this night.
Do it.
And I'm going to start with Curtis. You're not crazy. You're potentially right. And there's nothing better than being right when you're told you're crazy. And I'll be here to sing those praises for you, buddy.
And you can be both. It's all right. I'm both.
Yeah, same sometimes. I think a lot of people think that about me, so
Right.
I'll take it. You can start it off today. Who's your 3 stars in this one?
All right. So there's going to be no surprises in my 3 stars today. I'm going real simple on it. Number 3, I went back and forth on who I was going to have 2, who I was going to have 3. Number 3, Cole Perfetti. We're seeing the Cole Perfetti emergence. I've talked about it all year. I sound like a broken record. I don't care because he's so goddamn good. He's the future of this team. He's had such a great second half of the year, and he had a great game today. So I'm giving Cole Perfetti number 3. Number 2, I settled at Dylan Sandberg, pretty much just for that fucking pass. I know he had a rough night on the pairing with Luke Shen, but that pass in overtime, that bank off the wall to catch Ehlers mid-flight was just absolutely incredible. So on a night where he definitely struggled defensively on the pairing with Shen, the offensive side of the game that we've seen start to come through for Sandberg, pardon me. We got a little glimpse of it there, so I liked it. So you know what? Screw it. I'm giving him a star. And number 1, I'm going to go Nick Ehlers because how can you not on a night where he was, the whole fucking team, that goal in overtime was wonderful. The celebration. Give me Nick Ehlers number 1. Give that man a contract. We don't deserve him.
It's safe to say that across the board, looking at the chat, Max of Silence says Fetz, Ehlers, Miller. Gilbert Marion says Ehlers, Perfetti, Iafallo. T. Conapoli says Ehlers, Perfetti, Wilson. Curtis also points out that Helly was good.
Yeah.
Over on Twitch, Donnie Fester says Stan, Miller, and the PLD Booze.
Yes.
It's safe to say a lot of people have 2 of the same 3 players on this night, and it tells me that our audience knows what the hell they're talking about. 3rd star in this one. Let's go. Who do I want to go tonight? Let's go Colin Miller.
He deserves
Two
it.
games in a row. I really like where his game's gone. Let's go Colin Miller, third star. Let's go Cole Perfetti, taking another step in another big game and announcing his arrival with that confident, strong, doing everything on the ice version. And then Nick Ehlers, man. Rockstar shit.
Yep.
To send us on our way home after an absolute electric night at Canada Life Center. Nick Ehlers, I'm entertained, buddy. Great celly, great shot. And I'm just going to use this time. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Let them know about our show. We love the growth we've seen over this last month. You guys all rock, helping us across YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We want to keep doing this for you, and we're looking forward to doing it throughout the playoffs. So be a friend, tell a friend, give the stream a like, maybe send it to that hockey fan friend of yours and say, hey, we need to get into these guys coming into the playoffs. And let's keep building this thing, baby. I love to be here with you every single night. And this was another fun one, covering the Winnipeg Jets.
Right on. Y'all know the drill. Tell two friends to tell two friends. Rate, review, and remember the landing strip for your Winnipeg Jets postgame.